So here we are down on the build board, the beginning of the Hawker Hurricane build. Pop that out of the way for now. I'll introduce you to that in a second. And what we're going to do for the first step is build our vertical stabilizer. Now, within the kit, all of the parts are numbered sequentially, and I put that carefully because although we set out to build it in a certain order, that may have changed slightly, so the sequence of events may differ slightly to the number order, but obviously I'll point that out as we go along. But for this sequence, the numbers actually work, which is great. What we need for this build is we need our 2mm A sheet. We also need the Tyvek A sheet as well, and we will also need our plastics sheet for the hinges, so or the brackets, I should say. There we go. Now, during the build, or part of the process of building this particular kit, I've done a second livery for the Hurricane, which will be coming out probably at the beginning of next year or the end of this year. And so I am building that prior to showing you how to build the V7467 kit, just so it reminds me of how it goes, and also it reminds me of how the kit goes together. So here we are. This is the vertical stabilizer of the second livery. As you can see, we've got the skin on, we've got the shaping as well, and we've also got the hinge brackets at the back there too. So I will take you through the sequence. There's some interesting things that we can learn about the Tyvek in this particular segment of the build, and well, let's proceed. So what we need to do first is we will cut out number one. The number one here is this piece, rather innocuous little strip of green. Let's just pop that up there, and we will remove it. You can do, if the colours sort of cause a little bit of consternation about where you should put the cut, you can always turn it over and you get this nice white blank side to it. So obviously we just need to cut the tabs to release the part from the sheet, like so. And there we have part number one. Let's put that to one side, and then we need part number two, which is this strip here, which is actually the back edge of the vertical stabilizer. So let's just cut this out. If you have problems going through this material with your knife, probably just need to renew the blade. It does require quite a sharp knife to cut this material cleanly, because it's very flexible. It tends to get out of the way of a blunt knife. There we go. So let's just put that to one side as well, and literally this is placing one part on top of the other, like so, and you can glue them together and line up the slices through part number two, there and there, and the holes cut out in part number one, there and there. Now, as to which way up, obviously this is a symmetrical part, but this being the back edge of the vertical stabilizer, let's assume the aircraft is going that way. Obviously there is a slight taper from back to front, and because of the way that the laser cuts, the edge that it cuts onto, or the surface it cuts onto, tends to be slightly larger than the one it leaves a little bit further away from the laser. As the laser spreads out, and it's minuscule, but and if you got it the wrong way around, it does not matter. But what we'll do is the uppermost side we'll attach the Tyvek onto. So and to attach it, we just require this super foam to foam glue, which we will add onto the foam surface. You can do either or. It's just obviously here we've got some voided areas, and if we were to add the glue onto there, we would obviously end up putting glue in spaces where it's not required. So that's the only reason I put it onto the 2mm foam. So make sure we line those holes up, like so. There we go. Now we'll let that sit to one side. The Tyvek may curl a little bit, but we can always push it down, and the adhesive will do its work. We can push it back down and settle it onto the surface. Now, whilst that is drying, we shall remove part number 3, which is this Vertical Stabiliser shaped part. Once again, just cutting through the tabs. There we go, and we might as well take the rest of them out as well. So 4, 5 and 6, which are basically just these parts here. So that's 4. I did have an overhead light, but it seems to have gone out. Five. And 6. Excuse all the background noises, but got all the doors and windows open because it's absolutely baking in here. So, anyway, what we can do now, whilst we're waiting for that part to dry, is just add these. What I'm going to do here is just make sure that the tabs are flush. Go. Right, now let's just glue them on. So this is number 4 I'm adding the glue for. Probably a little bit too much. Just popping on there. Move the excess. Pop some more glue on for number 5. Slide that into place. Just make sure it lines up centrally. We will come and re-establish the position once the glue has dried, so it will grab. You don't want a a wonky vertical stabiliser, because then you end up having to trim the aircraft to counteract any of the unwanted asymmetry. Slide that on. So there we have the ribs on the vertical stabiliser. Now, before we attach the back portion there, we need to actually add the hinge brackets. And on the plastic sheet here, you've got these items. Bring that a little bit closer to the camera, and they're labelled R for rudder. We've actually got 3 that are labelled up. We only actually need 2 at the moment, because the lower hinge is actually part of the fuselage rather than the arrangement that we're building at the moment. So we'll just cut 2 out. Once again, I'm flipping it over so I can more easily see the tabs. Cut those out. And these have actually been scored as well. If you look closely at them, there's a score down the centre there, so you can fold them, and then there are these scores on the protrusions on either side as well. So what you actually do is you end up folding this over like so. So you create a part that looks like that. And then you actually fold these tabs out like so. You can see there. So before I actually glue those 2 parts together, I'm just going to rough the inner surface up slightly so that it provides more of an adhesive surface. And then I can use you can use CA on this as well if you prefer, but I'm just using the foam to the foam, makes it easy. And then I'm just going to fold that over just to make sure both sides have equal amount of glue. Then I'm going to let it fall apart and let that glue dry off a little bit, and we're going to use its contact adhesive qualities to bring it back together so it doesn't have to be held in place. So open that out, rough it up a bit with the sanding stick. And add some glue. There we go. Just fold that over to make the glue evenly distributed, and then we'll just pop those off to one side, up the top there, all of those parts. Let the glue go off a little bit more, and we shall get our parts 7, 8 and 9. So here we go. So this is 7 here on the Tyvek sheet. And this is that's a joiner piece. And then number 8, I'm going to flip this over once again so that I can see exactly where the line is I need to cut. where's the other one here? Part 9. There we go. So part 7 we want to stick down to part 8 like so. And on here the V-cuts, this is obviously where it's going to bend over and allow us to join both of these parts together. Those V's need to sit fairly close, if not on the edge of the part here. Now, a little bit of a tip. Obviously, these are going to be joined together, and there's a tiny little bit of white on the edge there where the Tyvek is cut. Now, using one of your ball tools, preferably a relatively medium-sized one, you can actually run that ball tool down the edge of the Tyvek, pressing it down, and that should reduce the effect of that white edge. So it's sort of lessening the effect there, and you can continue doing that till you're happy that you've got rid of most of that. You can do that obviously on both sides as well. There we go. So I thought I'd do that before I come to attach the number 7 joining piece, and that sits on there like so, getting the oriented. You can try it that way around, but obviously you're going to get the white showing there. So what we're going to do, just add a little glue to the inside of the starboard side of the vertical stab, like so. And then we'll add our joining piece. Now, the glue, if you use it straight away, if you attach the part straight away, you have a little bit of slip time before the glue dries. So I can delicately position these two parts together exactly where I need them, like so. A little bit of excessive glue there, let's just wipe that away. There we go. And what we're going to do on this part here, we require a little bit of scoring. So we've got this piece here which forms the top outer surface of the stabiliser, and there are a couple of lines we need to put on the rear side. So get your rule, and then it's just at the top there, and you'll notice on a lot of the parts that need scoring on the inside, you have a little indicator, a little nick in the material to show you where the score begins, and obviously here the score then ends in that elbow in the part there. So just line up with the back edge of the knife, just put in a score there, so you can see the scored edges there and there. There we go. So the other part that I wanted to show you, and this is rather revealing as how the Tyvek can be used to create model aircraft. Obviously, the front edge here, and if we look at the airframe, you've got this curve here that comes down to quite a blunt curve at the front here, creating this this leading edge. At the moment, obviously, this is just a flat piece of material, but what we can do using the ball tool, I'll start with the larger one. We can actually just, you notice I'm lifting the part here as I roll around that front edge. And just a couple of passes, you can see that it starts curving at the front there. And if I continue that, and then continue bringing the material further up, that becomes more and more prominent. Then what I can do is switch to a smaller ball as we get further pressure onto that leading edge. And you can see with the Tyvek, you can get a really nice curve onto that front edge without it wrinkling or distorting in any way. So the more you can get it to bend round, the better that leading edge will look. So there we go. It's nicely set up now. If I swap over to here, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'll let the glue dry a little bit more on that before we shape that side, but we will come to it. What we'll do now is, if I bring these hinges down, we'll stick these together. So once you're happy that you've got them sitting, the two sides sitting over each other, you can just give them a quick squeeze with some pliers. And if you do get a bit of, as I've got here, is a little bit of excessive glue, what you can do is, using a bit of 2mm carbon fibres, you can just pop the carbon fibre in and just twirl it about. It should take off the excess glue that's sitting there. There we go. Do our second hinge. Squish that together. And then clear out any excess glue. So, now what we're going to do with these hinges, if we grab our rear edge of the vertical stabiliser, I'm just going to press the Tyvek and foam together one last time. And what we can do now is we'll bring those two tabs together that we splayed. We primarily did that so we didn't stick them together, and they actually go through the hole that sits in there. Push it through like so. See there. Do the same with the other one. Like so. And then the splayed tabs at the back should splay out now quite neatly, like so. But what we're going to do is just add a little bit of glue to the back side of the surface there. Like so. And we'll just press those down just to deposit some of that glue onto the foam. I'm going to let them spring back up for now, and then let that glue dry, and once again we'll use the dry glue to make sure that those tabs stick down quite firmly. So we just pop that to one side, and we can return to our vertical. This is the starboard side. So we're going to do exactly the same on this, and just run our ball tool around. We'll start with the larger one. Also helps to adhere that joining piece. And before we take it too far, actually, what I'm going to do, using the edge of the side part as a guide, I'm just going to use the back edge of the knife and put a score, and I'm using really shallowly because I don't want to actually even cut through the print, because I don't want to expose any white material. Just using it as a guide to put a score all the way around, like so. And I would do it on the other side, but this way I can get a really accurate score. I just have to be careful not to break through the material, the surface of the ink, the printed material. So this should all bend over now along that score line. Like so. There we go. And I'm going to splay it out again. I've got a little bit of glue on the surface there, so I'm just going to use the ball tool to remove that glue. Otherwise, it looks a little unsightly. And then we'll resume creating that curve at the leading edge of the vertical stabiliser. There we go. So this is now, the process is to bring these two parts together. So what we're going to do, we'll bend the tabs over a little bit more. And then add some glue to each of those tabs. The super nos really works well here for controlling the amount of glue that we pop down. We'll just leave that, and we're going to also put glue on the edges, on the leading edge of the port side part, like so. There we go. And then we're going to let this dry off too. And when we bring it together, we need to get it done very accurately to get a good leading edge. But it does mean that it glues down instantly once we let that dry off. While that is drying, we can finish off our frame. So we've got our tabs sticking out here in that Y shape. What we can do now, hopefully the glue's dried enough that we can pop that down. As you can see, they then stay down. That's the grab. And then that needs to sit onto the rear of the frame, like so. So let's just add a bead of glue to the rear here. There we go. Then we can pop this on. And then just make sure when you do it all lines up nicely. And then we can let the glue dry and then just come and pop that back firmly just to make sure it's all properly glued together. Right, well, we can leave that. That'll probably need another 5 or 10 minutes to dry off. I'll come back and we'll put that together. So let's get these two sides together. And what I find easiest is if we line up the bottom first off like so, just a little bit at the bottom there, then we work our way up the seam, just slowly bringing those sides together without overlapping. And then we can actually still use our ball tool just to scrub over a little bit of excess glue coming off there, just to go down the seam, just gently bring those parts together. And then we can also flip over, and I tend to use the handle of the scalpel. Obviously watch out, the knife's this end, don't end up chopping into your hand, and then just pressing the tabs down onto the receiving part, so we get a nice join. So there we go. And I mean, you can also use techniques like using your fingernail, back of a fingernail, that sort of thing, but then we've got a really nice join there that provides us with this lovely curved leading edge. And once this is in place, we can continue to just fettle the material into position and get rid of all those little white areas of the edge of the Tyvek. But the other thing you can do, obviously, is you can use pencils or some other sort of hobby colouring system to get rid of any of the little white marks too. So some people use chalks and powders and that sort of thing, so you can try those too if you so wish. So with our frame, we can push this home, make sure everything's nicely lined up, and then of course we can do a good dry fit with our skin. There we go. So yes, using the skin there, obviously we've got this top piece here that is yet to be glued in place. What we can do is in fact just add a little glue to the tab there. Just bring the one side over to attach to it, and we'll just let the glue dry on that, and then it should attach permanently once we bring them back together. Right, let's just let that dry off and we'll go about decorating our framework. Right, let's just bring these two parts together. Like so. Just use the knife to press the tab down. and then we can just pop this in place just to make ourselves aware of where everything goes. Obviously we want this part sitting atop here with no gap, like so. And then we need the rear edge here to cover the white of the frame at the back. So there should be a little bit of an overlap. Just going to push this material down a little bit more just to make sure that that occurs. There. I think that's going to be satisfactory. So what we'll do is we will add glue to the area that we are going to cover. So down the edge of the ribs there, over on this side too, and the edge of the ribs. Like so, and also obviously across the top here. Now we can pop that into place, making sure we hit the top spot there. And then I'm just going to let this, as you can see, the Tyvek's pulled away at the moment, but we've got some of that glue onto it. So what we'll do is just slowly bring the Tyvek back down onto the areas that it needs to stick to. Because the foam is quite flexible, you can actually compress it so that you can control where it sits to some extent. So once you've got the parts where you need them, and what we can do is just lay that down flat, and then with a flat surface such as the steel rule, you can then just press the Tyvek down onto the framework to get nice flat just using the ball tool to take any glue that's smeared onto the surface. If you do it across diagonally, then you won't go sort of down through the gaps between the ribs. So if you go sort of across like so, there you go. And then you can use your ball tool, as I said before, just to bring the leading edge surfaces together a little bit more. There we go. So, after what, half an hour or so, I've been able to show you how to build your vertical stabilizer. There we go.